right, guys, we gotta talk about it. I know we don't talk about the in-ring stuff here. That's not what we do on this podcast. But fortunately for us, there are other podcasts that are talking about this incident. So that allows me to talk about this incident. And of course, I'm referring to the botch of the century at AEW Revolution. The biggest botch since Shockmaster, bigger than Shockmaster. Check out these clips from some of the podcasts talking about the big botch this past weekend and what they thought about it.
You're letting you're leaving the main event of your show to the elements, right?
Well, I'm just wondering who was the tech guy. You know,
yeah. You mean the guy looking for a job?
I was just wondering, who was the tech guy who put that thing together, because the ending, the finale with the bombs going up, it was almost, I wouldn't say almost, it was comical. It was comical in a sense to what, was that it? Are you kidding me? And then to cover it up by saying, Kenny Omega, he built this thing, come on here.
And that is why I said from day one, if you're going to do it, you better do it right. Because look at what happened when it goes wrong. Yeah, the explosion wasn't that good. The fans didn't get to see everything go boom. That's not the problem, Dave. The problem is the talents that were in the ring that had to endure the malfunction, I'll call it, whatever it was. The explosion malfunction, just like a wardrobe malfunction can happen.
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston comes to save his friend that has beat the shit out of him for a while, jumps on top of him. They're trying to create one of the greatest moments in barbed wire deathmatch history. Onita covering Terry Funk while when the cage explodes. A martyr, the ultimate babyface. Poof.
Yeah,
that's what we got. Poof.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Onita Funk match, everybody would watch that, and I think several barbed wire matches to get a feel for it. And we did a lot of tests and safety precautions with the fire marshal. And I think the story kind of gave us an out for the ring not completely exploding and killing both guys, because again, it was Kenny's construction, this thing he built to be the Moxley extermination chamber, and you saw him kind of build it crudely with a hammer, and it looked like a great plan. And to be fair, it worked all through the match, and Kenny's such a great wrestler. He survived it, and he got to the finish, and he was in trouble. The Good Brothers came out to help him. So there was a story there. The construction of it was such that, we're using barbed wire and had to take a lot of precautions and treat it with great care. And we had to do a lot of rehearsals of the explosions. But again, there's only so much you can really do with explosions without really hurting people. So I think that's why it was good to give us an out with a story when we didn't actually explode the ring, that maybe Kenny's craftsmanship as a bomb builder is not his forte. Maybe he should stick to wrestling.
I mean, what is there to say about this? We get the big countdown. 3, 2, 1. The ring's going to blow up. Eddie Kingston is covering his friend, Jon Moxley. The big face turn, right? And then pop, whiz, fizzle. A couple firecrackers go off and sparklers in the corners. And that's it. That's all we get. My kids have set off bigger fireworks than what went off in the quote-unquote exploding barbed wire death match. And now, I'm not here to knock AEW. I'm an AEW. I don't even watch WWE barely, okay? I watch AEW every single week. So, let's just put that out there now. But I'm also not a fanboy. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm going to call it like I see it. And at AEW Revolution, it was a whole lot of not good, okay? There were some good matches. There was some good shit that went on. I'm not here to review the show. That's not what we do here. It's unfortunate that this had to happen. AEW is still a really new company, and they're still trying to make their name, and they're still trying to get themselves over as an equal to competitor to WWE. Now, of course, we know that this will probably never happen, but they're a lot closer to a WWE than they are, say, a TNA or a Ring of Honor. They are more akin to a WCW in their heyday than they are a Ring of Honor or an Impact Wrestling. So they're number 2, but they're not a distant number 2, but they'll never be number 1. This is not going to help them. There's a couple things going on here. This was the overhyped debut of Christian Cage. I love Christian. I'm glad he's there. I'm excited to see him there. I'm excited to see him wrestle. Was he the biggest signing in the history of wrestling ever? No. Was he hyped to be? Yes. We had Tony Khan on all these podcasts talking about this is the biggest star, Hall of Fame worthy that we've signed, blah, 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 blah. And it's Christian Cage. No, we love Christian. Again, Christian, all the respect in the world. Mad respect. And that theme song, he got to keep his theme song. How about that? But, what a rough to hype something that much, you're almost surely going to disappoint, short of CM Punk or Brock Lesnar or all those big names that everybody was pondering about. This just off the heels of the Big Show coming into the most lukewarm debut of all time, standing out there on the stage with his shirt tucked into his jeans, saying, "Hey, I'm happy to be here, blah, blah, blah. I didn't see his turn coming." Then you get the pop and fizzle and fucking limp dick exploding barbed wire match. And it's like, maybe this whole pay-per-view thing was a bit overhyped. Now, the barbed wire explosions, look, man, something went wrong. The pyro didn't work the way it should have. Shit like that happens, especially when you're live. Did they test it beforehand? I don't know. Did they blow up the ring before the show? They should have. They trusted their pyro team. Did they do it then? I mean, they have more fireworks for Cody fucking Rhodes' entrance than they had blowing up the ring. They could have just moved all of that pyro down to the ring and around the ring, and it would have looked better than it did. And if it was the idea that from the very beginning it was planned that we didn't really want to blow everybody up, but if what Tony Khan's saying is correct, we didn't really want to blow anybody up, so that's why we came up with the storyline that Kenny Omega was building the explosives, because then we could come back and say he botched it, then you are selling a pay-per-view for something that you're not going to deliver intentionally. So I hope he's making this up to kind of smooth things out and make it look like it wasn't a botch, but it would be much more professional, much more honest, much better to just come out and say, yeah, we had something big and cool planned and it just got fucked up somehow and we apologize, but shit happens when you're live. But no, we're covering it up and we're saying, oh no, this was our plan, this was the storyline, we can't really blow guys up. Then why the fuck would you even do this to begin with? We don't expect the ring to blow up. We expect it to look like it blew up. Put on a show. Make a big loud bang and fucking smoke and sparks everywhere. And that's all you needed. It's all it needed to be. And you could have easily did that. I said this last week on the show. This is going to be a stunt. This is special effects. This is a crew working to put together a show, to put together a presentation. This isn't guys actually blowing each other up. This is a work. It's a show. It's showmanship. But the guys who put together the pyro didn't fucking put together the pyro right. And it was just the biggest botch. Made worse by Eddie Kingston laying over the top of Dean, John Dean, James Dean, covering him, protecting him, shielding him from the explosion, and then nothing. And then Kingston just rolls off like he's dead with the limp arm. Man, now did Kingston even see that the pyro didn't go off? I don't know. I would like to think that a guy as much of a veteran as he is and John is, that if they had noticed, that they would have improvised and maybe like gotten back up and didn't sell it like they were dead. I don't know. I'm not the booker. I'm not the guy running shit in AEW. I'm just a fan, just watching a show like everybody else, just like you guys. And every one of us are sitting here armchair booking this shit. Every one of us is laughing at this. Every one of us is saying, what the fuck, man? Accidents happen, but here's the thing. First of all, this is on pay-per-view, not WWE Network pay-per-view for $10, but real pay-per-view for $50. People paid $50 to see nothing. Secondly, you have been hyping this shit for months. Okay, weeks, not months, but you get what I'm saying. My concern is that for the first time ever in AEW's existence, I was watching and I felt that maybe they don't have their shit together as much as they like to show that they do. Being a new company, that's fine, but if you're going to try to be the number 2, you need to have your shit together a little bit more. To the point of where you got to test your pyro before you put the pyro live. Now, if the fireworks don't go off on Cody's entrance, which they always do, you'll never see a botched Cody Rhodes entrance. But if the pyro always goes off for that, why can't it go off in the ring? It's just pyro. Why can't it go off on the box on the floor? Even like the rope bombs were great. The explosions in the ropes, that shit was fantastic. It looked like it needed to look. Explosions on the floor, not so much. But I let that slide. Okay, whatever. But the ring was supposed to explode. And if it doesn't explode, and that's what you're trying to sell. Look, my kids, they don't like wrestling. As much as I've tried and forced them and taped them down and made them stare at the TV and fucking held their eyes open with my fingers, they don't like wrestling. But when I told my youngest son that there was going to be an exploding barbed wire death match, he was like, what? An exploding barbed wire death match? That sounds crazy. And I said, yes, son, it is. And he was excited to watch it with me. And it was on after his bedtime, so I told him, you know what? We'll watch this later. I will make sure you get to see this match. He's excited to see wrestling for the first time ever. And now I don't want to show it to him because he's going to laugh at it and go, well, that was stupid, and never want to watch the shit again. He's not the only one. How many people were like, okay, I'll bite. I'm going to check this out. And ended up being turned away by this. How many people have been already on the fence or against AEW? Because there are the people on the internet, as you know, that are like, oh, fuck AEW, blah. Those people had the biggest shit-eating grin on their face because they were justified. Because all the shit that they were saying about AEW being Bush League bullshit, and just a money mark, buying up all the old WWE guys and all that shit, right? Everything they've ever said about AEW, they were justified in this moment here in this night. Now, will this kill AEW? No. But this, mark my words, will set them back way more than they ever would have expected. This is a botch on the most epic scale. If they were hoping for their second million and to grow and to get the people that aren't watching AEW to give it a look or give it a second look, they're not going to get it when this news reaches the internet that they had a pop and a fizzle for an exploding barbed wire death match. They're going to get laughed at. And as much as, and if this was something that happened when they've been around for 10, 15, 20 years, it would have been no sweat off their back. But because this is a company that's trying to grow, they are trying to get that second million. They are trying to win over the haters and the doubters and the fence riders and the casual fans and the fans that just outright went away after the Monday Night Wars. And when fans, trust me, if they're not watching AEW, they're still paying attention. If they're a wrestling fan at all, whether they're a WWE for life or whatever the fuck their gimmick is, they are at least peripherally paying attention to AEW, whether it's through podcasts like this or the other ones or just their news feed, Twitter, whatever the fuck. They're going to see this and they're going to laugh and say, that's why I don't watch this. Are they right to do that? No, because AEW in general, I think, is a great company. It's a great show. It's entertaining to watch. But they have things in their show that just shows their greenness as a company. There's little things like Tony Khan going out there and overhyping every single fucking debut that happens. And then it turns out to be like fucking James Ellsworth or something. And it's like, well, what the fuck, man? I thought this was going to be The Rock and it's fucking Phil Baroni. It's nobody. Christian's not a nobody, but he's not the biggest signing in AEW history. He's not. He's not anywhere near the level that, and I get, as a promoter, you gotta hype shit. This is gonna be huge. This is gonna be one of our best shows. We got a huge star debuting. I get the mentality behind trying to sell this, but I feel like you're taking away your own credibility. Because now when Tony Khan gets on a podcast and he says, we got the next big signing coming up and it's a huge surprise and he's a huge star and it's going to be one of our biggest signings ever, nobody's going to believe him. Everybody's going to just chuckle it away and be like, it's probably fucking Heath Slater or something. No disrespect to Heath Slater, but you get where I'm going with this. Tony Khan's a little bit of a hyperbolist. Is that a word? Can you be a hyperbolist? I don't know. But if not, then I'm making up that word now because he's a hyperbolist. He's becoming a hyperbolist. I don't trust him when he says that something is going to be huge anymore. I think either he's delusional and only he thinks that this is huge, or he's just being a promoter and just trying to bullshit the hype. Either way, I'm not buying in anymore. And now with the exploding barbed wire death match, it's like, how can you look forward to something now? When they come out and they're like, okay, now we're going to do this crazy new thing you've never seen before. Everybody's going to be like, oh, well, that's going to be a shit show. Accidents happen. I am not... Look, when you're live and you're live on national TV or you're live on pay-per-view, sometimes shit's just not going to happen the way it's meant to. WWE did an entire pay-per-view in the fucking dark because the power went out. And they didn't have a backup generator that could handle the shit. But they had already been around for so many years that they had built up the trust, the faith, and the forgiveness of the fans to just let that shit roll off and just be like, shit happens. But when you're on your second year and you are hyping this as your biggest shit and it's a flop and it fizzles and it's because of something that you could have did better. As the owner of the company, as a brand, as AEW, you could have done better. You're letting people down too early in your run. And that turns enough people away. AEW is not so big right now that they can't be reduced to a TNA. If you remember, TNA Impact went head to head with Monday Night Raw and drew over 1 million, 2 million viewers? AEW has yet to pass 1 million other than their first episode, where there were potential fans that were going to check it out and see what was going on, and they didn't like what they seen. You can't fault them for that. You can't say they're wrong because it's opinion. Everybody has different tastes. Everybody likes different shit. You don't have to like AEW, and you're not wrong if you don't like it. But this is the kind of thing that's going to get, that word is going to get out to them. And that's not going to do anything to make them want to watch at all. In this overhyped debut of a big star that's going to be Christian Cage. Again, I say that like Christian Cage is fucking Kurt Hennig's kid. What's his name? That's not the case. Christian Cage is a huge star and a huge signing for AEW. But when you build it up to be the biggest thing ever, it's just not. And their handling of these things, I don't know if it was right to even say that there was going to be a big signing that night. Or if you were going to say it, just downplay the hyperbole a little bit. You don't got to build it up to be the biggest signing ever. You can just say it's a major signing. And the internet is not let off the hook here either, okay? A little bit of a sidebar here, right? I've talked about it on the show before. WandaVision. I'm a huge Marvel nerd. Most of you are, if you're not a Marvel nerd, you're aware of it, right? Huge. Marvel Universe. WandaVision. It was a fantastic show. A nearly perfect show. But what made it nearly not perfect? The entire internet speculating. Oh, it's going to be this. It's going to be that. They build shit up so big in their own mind. Speculating that whatever it's going to be could not possibly reach their expectations. It couldn't possibly work out the way that would be pleasing to anybody who's built their expectations up that high. And for that, they're a little bit fallible because you don't have the right to sit here and speculate that CM Punk's going to debut, or Brock Lesnar's going to debut, or The Rock's going to debut, or John Cena's going to debut. You don't have the right to speculate that when you have nothing to go off of other than your own imagination. Oh, they said it's a Hall of Fame worthy star. It must be CM Punk. Come on, man. You're to blame too, but not so much because they built into the hype. They built it up. They led you on. They led you to believe that it was bigger than it was. Had they not done that, it wouldn't have been a popcorn fart. This is a dangerous line for AEW to be walking right now. Tony Khan needs to be careful. He needs to tone down his hyperbole. He needs to put a fucking... What are those? He needs to put a ban on any kind of this is the biggest, this is the hugest, this is going to be a giant, blah, blah, blah. Stop hyping things. Just stop. I don't know how he can say things without sounding like he's... It's hard. It's hard. I get it. You want to hype this big announcement. But even Christian had said in an interview that we'll talk about here in a little bit. He said in the interview, I didn't even know that it was going to be hyped. I just thought it was going to be kind of a surprise. And then all of a sudden it became the biggest hype ever. And whoa, am I going to be able to live up to this? You put that pressure on Christian. You put that kind of pressure on him to walk out there. And if he doesn't get the biggest pop in the world, he doesn't get the fucking Road Warrior pop, then he's going to be disappointed too and think, okay, well, what the fuck am I doing here? And Big Show was a dud just before that. I mean, if you're going to debut the Big Show, you're just going to bring him out like standing next to Tony Schiavone with his t-shirt tucked into his jeans and say, hi there, guys. Nice to be here. Bet you didn't see that turn coming. It was the lamest shit ever. And I get he's just an announcer, so he's playing the announcer role. I'm just a guy with a microphone. But you are also a huge star. Physically huge and just star power wise. You're a huge star. Act like it. Be presented as such. Have the lights go out. Have pyro. Have music that doesn't suck. Christian got to keep his music, by the way. We'll address that later. Fucking awesome. I'm way off on a tangent here. But the moral of this story is this. AEW needs to tone down their overhyping of things. They're overpromising of things. And they are dangerously close to starting to lose their first million fans instead of gaining their second million fans. TNA Impact gets like 200,000 viewers. AEW is not far off from being that as well. They don't even crack 1 million now. They do with like the +3s and the +5s and whatever else maybe. But they probably have 1 million viewers, but they're going to lose them at this rate. They're going to lose those viewers. There are going to be people already that spent $50 on that pay-per-view, saw a popcorn fart, and swore off AEW and said they're never going to watch the shit again. I guarantee you there's at least one person out there, if not dozens, if not hundreds. There are people that are never going to watch AEW again because of this. And there are even more people that were going to watch AEW that are probably not going to watch it now. They're sitting back. Ha, ha, ha. That's why I don't watch that shit. And they're justified. And you can't even argue with them. Because they were probably wrong before, but now this gives them something to be right about. This is an uphill battle for them to climb now. It's gonna take a long ass time for them to climb back up from this. This is a credibility killer. Credibility killer. Are they doomed? Are they dead? Are they horrible now? Do they suck? Are they TNA? No, and no. Double no for TNA. They're not. They're still WCW. But what year WCW are they? Where are they heading? This scared me. This was the first time I saw them and thought to myself, this company's got problems. And I'm as big a fan as AEW as they come. I support them. I watch them every week. But I can't take too many more things like that. Like the death match. Or Big Show and Christian. Not that they're there, but the way that they were presented to me. Underwhelming. Flop. Bad news for AEW. They'll come back from it, but they're going to have to work back up from it. It's going to take months of not botching shit, not fucking things up, under-promising, over-delivering, and building up that must-see-ness. Again, it's going to take months for that. I would not be shocked if their ratings go down for a few weeks. I would not be shocked if their next pay-per-view has lower buy rates. This is not something that they can't overcome, but they're going to have to work for it now to prove themselves to be an equal in the same conversation with WWE as opposed to being in the same conversation with Impact. They don't want to be in that conversation. And I know there's people listening that are Impact fans, and God bless you, and I love you, and I'm not trying to dog because I understand, new company, new owners, blah, blah, blah. It's still got that TNA stink on it, and it always will. And AEW needs to avoid having the AEW stink on it. Because once that happens, it is not going away. As evidenced by Impact, there is not a goddamn thing that they can do on this planet that is going to get them back to where they were. It's just never going to happen. They are a glorified indie company when they used to be head-to-head with Monday Night Raw, drawing 2 million viewers with main event stars. It is what it is. But I got to call it like I see it. I love AEW. They're going to do fine. But they got to turn that ship around. They got to work harder. They got to build that trust back and not let us down again. Because we can only take a couple more of those things before it just turns into TNA. And if that happens, they are long gone. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.